This year alone, we generated $15 million for ecom brands by using heatmap.com and A/B testing. So in this video, I'm gonna dive deep into a live account and I'm gonna show you how to use heatmap.com like a pro. I'm gonna check their homepage, product page, collection page, and mobile menu. Honestly, this is the kind of video that I needed to see when I started doing conversion rate optimization. So without further introduction, let's jump straight into the video. Right, so first you might be asking why heatmap.com and not other heat map software. So I use them all. Like I tried Lucky Orange, Hotjar, Clarity, you name them. Like I tried them all, and honestly, by far, this is the best. And here's why. All of the other heat map tools, they don't show you any in-depth metrics such as revenue or revenue per session, right? So it just shows you the clicks, and clicks don't pay the bills. So when heatmap.com came around, I was so excited because now I can just click on one element on the website and I can see the number of clicks, purchases, the revenue per click, and revenue per sessions. So all of these are super important because now I can see that even if that element drives a lot of clicks, it doesn't necessarily mean that it makes money. So now I can get a lot or in more depth understanding of anything that's going on the website. So now, before I jump into how to use this tool, you might be needing to know how to read this and how to understand these KPIs. So I'm going to go over a little bit the main KPIs that I look on when I read the heat map. So what is nice is that you can see purchases and revenue, AOV, conversion rate, and the scroll rate. Right now, you can see 99% of the traffic can actually see this element. And as you might scroll lower, you will see that not a lot of traffic can see this, for example. This specific element has right now a scroll rate of 25%, which means that approximately 75% of the traffic doesn't get to this place. And this is why we have to focus so much more on the above the fold. Next, the main metrics that I use when I do an audit for an ecom brand is revenue per click and revenue per session. And what this basically means, revenue per click means revenue divided by number of clicks, and revenue per session is the revenue divided by the number of sessions or traffic that comes on the website. Now, the main KPI that I like to follow the most is revenue per session, and I like to analyze this when I compare it with other elements that are literally the same. So in this case, I would compare the revenue per session of this element, which is $14.14, with this one or this one, right? So this is just like a quick basic introduction on how to understand the KPIs and what is the most important. Basically, your North Star is going to be revenue per session. So first thing that I do when I start to read the heat map is I go into the data. First, I like to see some broad metrics and get a better understanding of what can I expect when I read the heat map. So straight off the bat, when I can see full page metrics, I can see that on average, the average RPS, revenue per session, is 3 cents. And the average revenue per click is approximately $6. And with this understanding, now I can start clicking on different elements and get a better understanding and come up with a lot of ideas. So now you can just follow me and see how I think and how I use the heat map. So obviously the most important part is the above the fold section because this one gets the most amount of views, the eyeballs. So straight off the bat, what I can see is that even though this specific announcement bar, everybody sees it, not a lot of people click on it. So when I click on it, I can see that out of 100K sessions almost, we have approximately 100 clicks and 4 purchases, which this tells me that this requires an optimization. It's either change the copy and maybe add like an underline below the text so that people can understand that they can click on it and it will take them to a specific page. And this is an easy optimization which you can run an ABC test, just mentioning different kind of offers or maybe unique selling propositions. Now, another thing that I do is I just start to look on the elements that are getting a lot of clicks, right? So in this case, we are already can see this, and this. So let's jump straight into this one. For example, I can see that, again, the average was 3 cents. I can see that this one has 8, which means that this is a very important element that it's above average of the revenue per session on this specific page, which this tells me that there is a potential optimization that can happen in this place, which means that we can even squeeze in this area. We can take this little search icon and we can transform it into a wider bar, just like Amazon does, which you can, I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with, or just like Google does, and you can just put it at the top, and this will drive more engagement to that specific search bar. Now, this is like version 1 idea optimization. Version number 2 is, let's say that once a person clicks on this search bar, the search function appears, but the page is blank. That tells me that we can take maybe the best selling products or the best or the most searched terms on the website, and you can just squeeze them in at the top once this pop-up appears and people have to type for whatever product they're looking for. Now we can just offer them the most common typed keywords, and this will create cognitive ease. And because it creates cognitive ease, the conversion rate increases, and this is how this store can make a lot more money. Now, next, as I'm seeing right here, this is by far, just so you know, everywhere, wherever you're going to be on the store, this is by far one of the most important elements on your website. It's the hamburger menu. So as we can see, this has a huge revenue per session. It's like 4 or 5 times more than this one. So in this case, there is a lot of opportunity that can happen on this, which I'm going to get into a little bit. Now, another potential opportunity is something that we like to call merchandising, right? So here we will look at the revenue per session of every single element on this specific bar, and we can reorganize the products that have a higher revenue per session. So let's go into it. Halloween, for example, has 14 cents. Bestsellers has 13 cents, which this is quite similar, but bundles and save has 21. This is nearly almost double. So what would I do in this case? I would just prioritize this as being the first. Why would I do that? Is that people like to read in an F pattern or a Z pattern, and which means that they first look to the left and then they look at the right. So this is why we want to put this first. And by doing that, the conversion will increase and the store will make more money from the same traffic that is being sent to the store. Next, golf sleeves. So I can see this is a 10. This is quite okay where it is at the moment. And this one, which is classic colors, it's even lower. So what would I do in this scenario? I would just put the bundle and save first. Now let's go a little bit lower. Another thing that I would look in any page that I would be in is are elements that are getting a lot of clicks and they are way lower in the fold, like something that is below the fold but gets a lot of engagement and has a high revenue per click and revenue per session. That gives me a high indication that that specific element has to be moved higher. So as you will see, you see all of these dots. These are people basically reading with their thumbs, and this is exactly how they do. So when you have a lot of copy, just so you know, people are scheming with their thumbs, and this is why I freaking love Heatmap so much, because it shows you the revenue per session for every single particular element. Now, let's go in here. So in here I can see that this one has 3 cents. The bestsellers has 6 cents, which this tells me that the bestseller collection, this is another optimization idea. Bestsellers here should be prioritized as being first and should be pre-selected as being the default option. Now let's see bundle and save. In this case, it has also 6, which is fine. And woman has 22. This is insane. And men. So in this case, this is a clear winner. It's woman should be prioritized as being first. This is such an easy low-hanging fruit. Now, let's go lower. As you will scroll lower, you might notice that the revenue per session, even if it gets a lot of clicks, is also very small. And this is normal because the scroll rate is lower, right? But in the moment that you see that, let's say 10% of your traffic is going to see an element, but it still has a high revenue per session for that specific area on the website, that means that that specific element has to be pushed higher. So let's see. When I get to crazy compression socks, to this section, to the bestsellers, I can see that this specific section has 5 cents. Next, this one, let's see, 8. Let's go to here. This has a 10, and the whole section as a whole has 31, which tells me that this section, because it's so visual, can be moved higher. Let's compare it with this section, for example. This has a 16 revenue per session, and this is a whole section. And now because we saw this section, when it's being clicked all together, has a bigger revenue per session, in this case 31 cents. This is such an easy opportunity to just move this higher. And this is how would I think when it comes to the homepage. Now, let me show you a couple ways on how you can optimize the collection page. So as I'm as I land on the heat map, straight off the bat, I can see again that this specific announcement bar doesn't get any interaction, 31 clicks out of 38,000 visitors on the specific page. Now, this tells me that this one either has to be removed even, or you can just A/B test different type of copy so you can drive more engagement and actually provide some sort of value in this announcement. This is pretty common, and for the majority of the stores, this is a pretty important area, and you can play around with it so much. Now, straight off the bat here, let's check the most clicked elements, and I can already see, for example, this one has 80 cents revenue per session. But first, let's check to see the data and see what is the average. So I can see that the average here is 6 cents and the average revenue per click is $12. This is awesome. So now, as I click on the other element again, which is the navigation menu, I can see that this one has a huge revenue per session, has a lot of clicks, which this tells me that there is a potential optimization opportunity here. What would I do as a CRO strategist? I would open up now what is the mega menu, study what are the most clicked and have the highest revenue per session categories, and now I could try to take them out just like I did on the homepage, and I could just lay them out here, either visually or just by text. Now, next, this store doesn't necessarily have a banner, but there are a lot of brands that have weird banners here and they occupy so much space. And I want you to imagine this area as a brick and mortar store. Like you enter in it and people just want to go straight to the product. They don't want to necessarily read the ads or read necessarily your promotion. They just want to see products. So this is why you have to cut the noise and just show them the products as soon as you can. Now, let's go and try to optimize and read the specific page. This is a couple of things that I would do here. First, I would do something that, again, I mentioned earlier in this video, which is called merchandising, which is rearranging the products based on revenue per session. So let's check them out. First, this big bundle with simple colors, I can see that it has 4 cents. But the ones that has a lot more clicks, you can already see that there are so many, has 18. This is 4 to 5 times more. So in this case, I would just move this on the left. Now let's check the others. The tropical bundle has 14. This tells me that this one can go in this space on the right, and this one can be moved on the left. And now just take this bad boy down on the page. Let's see the four pair. This one has a 6. This is decent, but let's compare the others, which are again lower. And as you scroll lower, I want you to also focus on the scroll rate. As you can see, it has a 70% scroll rate, which means that 30% of the traffic will not even see those. So this is why it's so important, it's so crucial to show the right products higher in the fold. And this is why we use heatmap.com. Now let's see, this one has 7. This one has 4. And frankly, which one makes 4? It's this one, which is honestly the first. So my traffic sees this. And now, as you can see, I will just continue to look and try to see which one has a higher revenue per session and organize those based on these numbers. And I usually like to look at 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day time frame right here, just to get a better understanding of how does the traffic and the seasonality influences the purchasing behavior. And then based on the metrics that I see for every single element, I will just rearrange them accordingly to that. Now, another potential opportunity here is this is something as like take this advice based on us doing at least 500 tests this year, is you can potentially squeeze your unique selling propositions throughout the collection page. And let's say you can just remove a product, or just, let's say we go to this product, we see it has 6 cents, doesn't make that much money, which means that this is an easy opportunity for us to squeeze in our USPs. We can move this bad boy somewhere lower and introduce our unique selling propositions. In this case would be that this is made in North Carolina, USA. This is a family business. It has higher quality materials. You know, this is based on what matters the most to the customers. Now you can just squeeze in a couple USPs. Let's say you put them here. You also place them, let's say, right here. And why do we do this? Is that our customers, as they are shopping, they don't necessarily know who we are and why they should buy from us. So we need to kind of like nurture them. You know, they are like new customers. They barely have heard of us. They don't like and trust us yet. So we have to kind of like nurture them and just softly show them why to purchase from us. And if one or two or three USPs are going to resonate with them throughout their purchasing journey, that's going to make them more likely to not have anxiety when they reach checkout, when they go to the cart, they will be more likely to buy. And this is what we can do as CRO experts to just make that happen. Now, let's go to the last step, which is the product page. So there are a lot of things that I could do here, but by far my favorite way to optimize this specific above the fold area is by looking at the product photos. First things first, we go and we check the data. So here I can see that the revenue per session on average is 36 cents and the revenue per click is 17 bucks. So it's quite high right here. It's normal because this is the product page. Okay, so now let's analyze. We can see that this is 12 cents, 24 cents. This is literally double. So this photo makes double the money compared to this one, which tells me straight off the bat that we can just reprioritize this one. Let's see the others. 27, even more. This is so good. 33, which means that this angle, we don't know exactly yet why people resonate so much better with this photo. But in this case, what has to be done is we move this as being the first. 33, this tells me that this has to be the second. This is 10, and this is 9. You know, people might think that as you go to the next one, to the next photo, to the next photo, the revenue per session might decrease. And as I showed you, this is not true. So this is why we have to reprioritize them. And in all of these cards, if you notice that there is one specific photo that has super, super low, such as this one, for example, low revenue per session, we can just remove this one or switch it with a different one that can be A/B tested later. Now, let's look a little bit lower. So this section, I'm not going to talk about it. Like you can see that it doesn't have many clicks. And I can tell you this is because we are running currently an A/B test on this specific section where we introduced the unique selling proposition. So this one, I'm not going to comment about it. Now, let's look and reorganize this one. Again, we apply the same effect, the merchandising, and by organizing them, again, with a higher revenue per session, that will lead to an increase in conversion rate. This is 7 cents. This is 5 cents. This is 17, which this tells me that this one should be first. So it just follows the same pattern that I just showed you above. Now, next, here I can see that the add to cart button, let me see what is the revenue per session. This is obvious all the time. This will have an insanely big revenue per session. But when you go to the shop pay, this has 13 cents. This is not so good. This is even lower than the average. So what we can do is just test removing this one. Same maybe can be applied with more payments. So we can just run a test where we can just remove those two. And now that we have only one button, this can create more cognitive ease, and this will just simplify the purchasing journey. Now, this is, I think, out of all of this is one of my favorite things that you guys can take from this video is the FAQ section. This is an FAQ section, and in the lower side of the website, they have also an FAQ section. These are like your number one 24/7 sales agents, and we need to take them in consideration. So a couple of things that we can do here is, again, analyze the revenue per session and compare it one next to the other. So 13 cents, 21 cents. This tells me that people are very interested in product details. Let's see, try risk free, 9 cents, so not that big. Size guide, 24. So in this case, I would just move the size guide and the product details as being the first two. Let's see, shipping and info, 6. So right now I would just reorganize them based on the revenue per session. Now let's go lower and see if we can reorganize different sections. So as I go lower, I can see that this one barely gets engagement, and I can see that 43 clicks, 8% of people actually do get to this section, and this is normal. This is why we have to prioritize the above the fold section and make the most out of it. I can see that it gets engagement, which is fine by me, but let's look a little bit more and analyze a little bit more. This section is very, very important. Let's see this video right here. This one doesn't have a lot of clicks, doesn't have high revenue per session. I would potentially even remove this one. Now let's see what is customer review section telling us. You know, based on the fact that this has 5% scroll rate, which means that 95% of the traffic doesn't even see this section, has 6 cents. This tells me that this section is really good and can be even moved higher, maybe even above this section even. Now, let's go to the good part that I wanted to share with you is analyzing what happens in the FAQ section below. So people will have questions and you want to make sure that they will see the right answers way faster. And in this case, I will see the ones that have the highest volume of clicks. So let's see, what is the compression rating? Has 3 cents. This one has less than 1. This one has 2. How long will it take to get my orders? And this has 1. Let's see, a little bit lower. Can I return? Okay, less than 1. Okay, and 0 sales and 0 sales. So this tells me that what is the compression rating that has 3 cents and how long will it take to get my orders have to be taken out and move them way higher in this section. And this is exactly how you will increase your conversion rate. This is literally the boring work that a CRO strategist has to do. Now, as I promised in the beginning, I'm going to go and I'm going to show you how to optimize the mega menu. But in this case, there are specific themes that might not be that compatible with Heatmap. So in this case, I tried going into interactive mode and I tried opening up the mega menu. So because of that, I'm going to switch to a different website just to show you a quick brief example of how does this work. All right, so now I'm on a different store called Pet Store Direct, which is a client of ours that we drove more than $5 million through A/B testing this year alone. Now, we are seeing here the mega menu that is already open, and let's analyze this a little bit. Let's go to data, see what is the average revenue per session. So the average revenue per session is 69 cents and the revenue per click is 20 cents. So in this case, let's see. So the revenue per session for this one is 86 cents. Next for categories is 2.27. This is huge, and this tells me that this can be prioritized easy, higher. Code types, this is not a lot at all. Now brands, 21 cents, and sharpening and repair. Let's see, this one has 3 cents. So this tells me that categories is the most important category. And as you can see here, this one can be open, which means that it has subcategories. And now you can just apply the same merchandising effect and go into each subcategory and reorganize those. Now, let me tell you a CRO hack that is so freaking good that we tested it so many times. So what would I do here based on the fact that I already can see that every single store has the most clicked part on their website is the mega menu. By knowing that, I can see that here I have so much space that I can play around with and optimize their mega menu. In this case, I have only a couple of categories. What I can do here is based on the fact that let's say I go to categories, I open them up. Now I see that one specific category has, or multiple have huge revenue per session. I can just take them outside of this menu and place them in between here. So now we removed one click from their journey. And by the way, this is exactly how you optimize the user experience, is by removing clicks from the customer journey. If you can take this to the next level, you can take them out completely from the mega menu and you can align them just like we did with crazy compression. We can align them straight on the home page, and now people don't have to press on the mega menu because they can go straight to the desired category. And this creates cognitive ease, and if there is more cognitive ease, your conversion rate will increase. And the next pro tip that I can give you is, because we have so much free space in this area, we can take the Pet Store Direct unique selling propositions and we can just squeeze them in. In this area, we can make the white section bigger, and now I can add 3 or 4 USPs to nurture customers, so then when they get to the checkout, they will end up purchasing with less anxiety and tackle all of their potential objections way before even they think of them. They already are going to know that we have a lot of customers, that we provide 24/7 support, that our shipping is free and fast, things of that nature. And the next option would be to introduce a testimonial, for example, that tackles a specific objection that we can notice by doing survey analysis. Now, I hope that this video was very valuable for you guys. This is just a glimpse of what a CRO strategist does in order to analyze and come up with insights and then turn those ideas into optimizations, test them out, and help e-com brands make a lot more money by using psychology, data, combines it together, A/B test it, and then the brands just makes so much more with the same ad spend, reduces the CAC, increases the AOV and the conversion rate. So this is the beauty of CRO. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any other topics or videos that you would like me to film, please shoot them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.